Marriage trends have changed from generation to generation and century to century. And today on Safe Space, we're going to discuss some of the stories that formed our opinions about what marriage should be, what it should look like, and test if actually they're applicable. I think that's it. Shoot. And test if they're applicable. I think before the show started, I was sharing with you guys a story, and I was telling you how now growing up, I feel like my mother trained all of us in a household, and that's a household of like 8 children, 5 girls, 3 boys, and trained us to be wives. Like that's the training we got. We didn't get entrepreneurship, whatever, but you're trained to be wives of wake up at this time, make breakfast for the house, make sure lunch is on the fire. And by then we're in the Sigiri era, guys. Like Chako, eh?
That's a good era. People
Yeah,
were
so-
in charcoal. Sorry, not charcoal. Firewood.
Speak for yourself. Anyway, what I am saying is that Chako era. So you make up and you wake up, sorry, and make the sigiri by like 5:30. There is fire in this house.
Okay, you like wake up at
Child,
4?
That
You wake
is
up
the
at
life.
4?
I don't know when we
As
used to
young
wake
as
up.
little?
But what I know is lunch food, which in our Baganda household for us was matoke, was on the fire by 7.
Only to be served at
Only
3.
to be served at 3. And as that matoke is on, you're now preparing for breakfast for the entire household of like 14, 13 people. Putting in mind, someone is going to work. Dad.
Why do I actually feel for him? Because how did he feed a whole football team and extras?
That's when I tell you men these days don't want to work. Because when you look at the household our parents used to feed and take care of, and with how they had the bare minimum, it's weird. But anyway, for me, that whole situation and the whole run from morning, making breakfast, making lunch, taking care of everyone in the house and everyone's needs, like tiny little gritty needs, like sometimes you'd have visitors come home, and Makiu, we didn't have that house that had water heaters. So now if you have your uncle coming in and he's like, you have to kuma the sigiri and make hot water for the person. Are you getting, like, you have to take care of everyone's little nitty gritties needs, and also as girls we were trained to always bear discomfort for the comfort of others, for the comfort of your brothers, especially brothers, for the comfort of the visitors, for the like that is how we were raised, and it was okay, and it was something. It formed my patterns, what I would always think about marriage. So me, I thought, up till this date, I still have some of that formation really tucked in there because it never goes away. But I always thought that as a woman, you carry your house on your head. Does it make sense? Like,
Yeah.
you carry your house on your head. You wake up, prepare for your husband, mop the house, iron his clothes, make sure he has breakfast before he goes to work at 7.
I don't like that, man.
That is what something, Gloria. I'm just telling my point here. I was being serious. But I think for me, it formed my whole pattern around marriage that a woman had to be a caregiver. Like you had to give. I didn't say.
Until you have nothing left.
Now the problem is who was filling your cup. But it's like you give.
But did you guys have anyone filling your cup?
As children, no. Because the least or the
At least
most
they
you
bought
get
you
is a
better
slap
shoes.
for anything wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, I'm Ganda
They'll
mother.
forget everything
Everything
you've been doing, right?
you've done.
They'll just focus on that one wrong thing.
That
God.
There was that thing my mother used to do when she would come back from work. She was self-employed, so she would come back and like step on the cement and say, and then you me.
I think every mother,
Every mother.
Like 3-4 times.
That's
I
every
know.
mother.
Every
That's
mother has
mother.
actually
African
done that.
mothers.
Oh my God,
And then
African
she would touch
mothers.
the mop. Like, so for me, I grew up, that was the wife thingy
So
I
go
saw.
kulanga wife material.
Yeah.
A whole silk or
But
cotton.
now, the one thing that
I'm trying to understand my
Gloria
love.
silk from Dubai
Yeah.
or from an Arabian country somewhere. I think they have to Turkey.
Turkey.
Chago with
It had to be
Turkey.
the nice material. But anyway, the one bit I feel I missed out in that whole formation was the emotional bit. Because I never ever saw my parents having conversations or being nice with each other or chatting and laughing. Like every time they were together, it was that seriousness of my father is man. And then my mother was always seated. I wonder how, I don't know, I won't say that. But that's what we saw. I didn't ever see them share that emotional connection.
So how does that impact you looking at marriage? Do you see yourself walking into marriage as that woman
And being a
doing-
busybody?
and
Yeah.
being a busybody and then serious? Because man, to see
Marriage is even far-fetched. Even in relationships. Yeah, you've seen me. Even with friends.
you're too
I will
serious.
serve you to the end. Like, it's what it's my definition of love. Like, I'll prepare your morning tea and make sure you find your cadesco. I'm loving you like that.
Mumutwana, mwana mumutwane.
This year,
Serving.
So for me,
we want to see a ring on
I'll
all the
share,
fingers.
I'll share
'cause,
later
ah,
the negatives and positives about it. What's that one thing that formed your opinion about marriage?
For me, marriage, I grew up unfortunately in your opposite kind of setting. Now for us, it were the boys more than the girls. Now basically, I was the only girl surrounded by boys. And being the very last one of them all, I saw boys laboring. I saw boys serving. I saw boys cooking. In my home, they don't... even now when we go for Christmas at old age, if girls step in the kitchen, it's bad food. You're definitely going to eat bad food.
Gloria, you can't say you don't know how to cook.
If
on
no, I
camera.
know how to cook, but I'm saying if the boys are there and the girls stepped
what's
in
wrong
the
if she doesn't
kitchen.
know how to cook?
No, I actually do know
Not-
how to
not
cook,
on
but
camera.
if we are trying to compare ourselves in my home, the boys and the girls.
I mean, it's okay not to not know how to cook.
Guys, I can boil good water. I can boil water. I can boil an egg.
Yeah,
I
can boil
really
water,
know
I
how
can-
to mix
Anyway,
leaves, you
make
know.
your
Exactly.
point, land. I want to
So-
where this goes.
So the boys, even right now, when the boys get into the kitchen, the boys will cook. I grew up seeing my brothers do laundry for the whole house. I saw them do labor. They were laboring, and little
Not my
Missy,
kind
I
of
was
brothers.
as like a little supervisor. But along the way, my mom had a very habit as well. Every time we'd get back from school, she would chase the maid. The maid would take a break.
Where was your role in this entire household shenanigans?
Well, basically, as always,
Supervising.
as in charge of the house, not the supervisor, but as always in charge of mopping, which I can say I never really did that much. I'm not going to lie about it until the boys started stepping out of the zones. You know, once the boys start getting into secondary schools, they become more masculine, and then you, as a girl, you start growing into the role of you being a girl. And then I also went to girls' schools. My dad was very intentional about that. He wanted me, I think I was becoming like a little tomboy in his home. He wanted to see
So you're
myself.
surrounded by guys.
He wanted to see me a feminine. I think he wanted to see if I'm actually a girl. Because I can assure you,
on litmus paper. You were born.
he was trying to do a test out. So with the schools I went to, and guys, I went to non-schools. You will labor. You will labor. We had housework. So by the time I was back home for holidays, I actually knew how to do housework. I started
So
working.
how has this transitioned into the
So
relationship?
for me,
you
in the
share?
relationships that I do share, I do not see where a man is going to tell me they can't cook. I do not see a guy telling me to do his laundry. I do not see a guy telling me to, because I feel like we all can do it. I can cook, he can cook. Because I have seen men do it. My dad could cook. You get?
Do you think you'd carry that attitude into marriage?
I have carried it in my relationships.
Has it worked?
Yeah, it has. Because
What's the
one
thought,
thing,
Gloria?
you have to share. You're making it look like I'm a
You're
bad person.
misleading the generation.
No, I'm not misleading. We all can do it.
She's right, though.
We all can do
Okay,
it.
just take me through your typical wife day. In case, okay, let's say you're married. What do you do?
Well, let's just say that I have been honored to be raised in a way that, okay,
Take me through.
never
it.
typical day as a wife. How would I take you through something I haven't done? But
If you
my
imagine it,
imagination,
Just imagine.
my imagination tells me you eat breakfast at your work. We shall all wake up very early, dress up, get, I don't know, whatever means. We get to work. You eat your breakfast at work. You eat your lunch at work. In the evening, we are all tired. We could make a cup of coffee, or we are watching our bodies. With slice fruit
So you
and eat.
you're
But
dieting.
yes, but
I'll
a
pause all
typical
of you
day
right there.
of my weekend.
I really started off this conversation on
As
the
a
right
laborer,
path.
you were laboring, you were suffering.
You
Now I am giving you a different perspective of what I'd, but on a weekend, I would also think I would sleep in a little bit late, wake up, make my husband breakfast. Of
Now
which,
you're
if he
coming.
also woke up early,
and he,
I would,
and
I
he
would
made you break.
I wouldn't mind him making me, because if he woke up before me and he didn't make it, I would
I
complain.
think after Gloria's perspective, we definitely need a break because let's take a very short break.
I thought we were speaking about
Let's talk
feelings.
about this
and I
back,
realized
when we are off camera, and then we get back with a fresh perspective from Kathy. Thank you, guys. We'll be waiting for you. I really want to thank the Glorias of this world for their perspective. And not that you may think I'm being judgmental, but I am actually not. I'm really just amused, and it's a fresh perspective on things. And I want to hear,
really.
Gloria, let us try to collaborate. We've tried, we've just had a turmoil.
I hope Kathy shocks you.
Oma Kathy, take us through what is that thing growing up that formed your perspective on marriage?
Everything I saw as I was growing up is not what I'm about to do if I get married.
Why?
What did you
What
see?
did you see? I was going to say that. I was like, hey, but what did she see?
What did you see? Could have seen
My
the
mom having to work, having to cook, having. I am not working and cooking at the same time.
same. Thank you, sister.
What's
I
wrong
am
with
not.
that? My mother was sustaining a whole.
These are two different mothers.
Okay.
Let's stick to Kathy's mom.
You work very early in the morning. You wake up, you breakfast, what, and mind you, she is the type of person that has never wanted to have anything to do with maids.
So you've never had a maid at home?
Well, at a certain point, she realized she couldn't handle it on her own, and she decided to get a maid. But that is when we had grown up a little. We're like maybe 7, 8, 10. There, you're able to do certain
So that
things.
infancy, it was her.
It was her. She wakes up. She was a self-employed woman, so she wakes up, prepares breakfast, runs to work, comes back home to prepare lunch for her husband. My dad was the type that would never eat
Can never
out.
be me.
And you're saying in the middle of the day, she breaks from work.
She comes back home to prepare lunch
What
for her
work was she
husband.
doing?
Self-employed?
She was self-employed. That's all you
So
should
she
know.
would come back and make
She
lunch
would
for-
come back
And daddy comes from work as well and has the lunch.
and then come back again, prepare dinner. I am not doing that. I am not my mother.
Can
So,
never be
okay,
me.
how did that make you feel? Because how did we arrive to I can't do that?
To me, that was exploitation.
Exploitation.
And I'm not doing that. I'm not cooking. I will do the cleaning, but I'm not cooking. In all my relationships, the very few that the successful ones I've had, I don't cook.
The successful ones that you have, the successful ones?
And those you be in for like, quite some time.
Food.
I'm a foodie. I love to eat. I love everything about food, but then
Which you can cook.
I can cook where necessary. If I have a choice, I would never want to step in the kitchen.
So I think the one thing that we can all
I'm not
deeply
making the
agree
money
on is
and cook at the same
there are
time.
bits of the opinions we formed about this concept of marriage that came from what we saw our
Yeah.
parents do. Negative or positive, there are those bits that came from that part. Now, for me, from my experience, I'm going to first share the negative. The negative part of that, my parents' dynamic and narrative, is since my parents' connection or relationship on an emotional level was kept to themselves.
Yeah.
Is that
You
pure?
didn't think there was love.
I didn't think there was love, and I never got to
But again,
see
there's
a
no day I
model.
ever saw them quarrel or.
That's the thing. You never
You
see
would
them
know.
quarrel.
You
Never,
wouldn't
like
know
it was working
anything.
for them. You'd never see anything. You'd never
I
see them
know.
over they're seated watching a movie together, over they have gone out together,
Nothing.
over they even when my dad sits on the dining table, my mother is going to sit on the lower chair. So I never saw that bit of emotional connection and how it was working between them. And I have to admit, connecting emotionally
It's
with
hard.
another person has always been hard for me. And when I wondered where I got that from, I realized I've never had the model of how do two people connect, make it work, and still. So for me, that was the negative bit about it. And maybe the other negative bit about it, the opinion I formed was seeing my mother drag herself throughout all those times, because there was a moment when my mother paused working and first became a housewife to raise us.
You see?
Like to a level where I liked it, by the way. And I feel like that if need be, that's something I could do for my kids. If need be, that they needed it. And we did. Because literally maids battered us.
Poor
Alright.
souls.
But no, they did. They really battered us.
Alright,
Though I didn't have good experiences with maids, as I for one. And then also being a middle child. I'll pause right there and feel my emotions.
Okay, I think that's not the right
Gloria, just I feel like
You need some tissues?
I can't talk about it right now. But my major negative opinion about it was that bit, like the emotional part I never got to experience. I never knew how to form. Up till this day I struggle with that part. Or I don't really, now I'm starting to learn how to emotionally be involved with someone. But what up to this day I was doing is we can bear each other. We don't have to quarrel. We don't have to. I don't know what to do. Like, it's awkward for me in a relationship. The least I can do for you. Now, probably I can't
Look
come
at
to
you
your
like
home.
a zombie.
I can't cook for you anyhow. Maybe I'll ask if you've eaten. Oh, like you also ask if I've eaten. Like I don't know what happens in the middle. What else do we do? How do we care for each
How
other?
do we relate?
Okay, Gloria, in your own wonderful experience.
Well, fortunately for me, I got to see my parents love on each other. I got to really physically see it. I got to see my dad's love on my mom. And I got to see my mom choose my dad over her children. And it was a beautiful sight for me. And I also got to see them fight. Not physical fighting, but there's that. And then also growing up, I got at adulthood, you get to have your mom report to you about your dad report to you
About your mom.
about your mom, and then you're in the middle, you're supposed to solve cases. And for me, at least I can say for sure, I saw love. For me, I knew my parents loved each other.
So
I saw that emotional.
your relationships
Yes,
now.
yes. It does. To be honest, it does. I wouldn't. It's very easy for me to form an emotional connection with the person I'm dating. Like, it's very easy. But again, the downsides that I saw my mom drop everything for a man. Because when I was growing up, I saw my mom juggling a few things. She was at some point a teacher, an English teacher. The next thing she was a nurse. The next thing she was owning a bakery. The next thing she was officially a housewife. She settled into the housewife thing. And she did it perfectly well. But then I saw the downsides of it when my dad died. She did not have a life to herself.
She didn't know what to do.
She did not know what to do with her life.
herself.
Because I saw us, her children, become her husbands. I saw us take on the shock for her. You get? The things she could have expressed maybe to her husband, the worries, every other thing. just came back to us because my dad was a provider. 100% all the way in. So for me in real life, you guys may think I like food, but in real life, I saw a man step in. It doesn't matter whatever I was a woman. You get? It doesn't matter. So when I say that I am seated there and I'm expecting a guy to do this, and this, it's because I saw my dad do everything. He did everything against all odds.
To catch you there, I saw my father too providing to the maximum.
Yeah.
Because the shopping that we did at home was for months. But on addition to that shopping, my mother always had money, Kameza money left to her. And in addition to that, she had hair. She had, my dad would know when her lotions are done. Like, she had all these provisions. And even us as kids, when we are now becoming adolescents and you want to small things, the times
And
during
he'll
the
be this type
holidays,
that would go out and buy her certain new outfits that are, you know,
Exactly.
coming out. Then make sure that if there's a shoe, if like
next day,
Your mom says, I
saw
have a
those
function.
bookings,
And even
and my
before she
father
can
is
ask,
thinking,
your dad is
He would
offering,
really
you will
put
need
some thought
something
to
to wear.
it.
You get?
I never saw my mother ask for money directly. She was more of, Twino,
Mukolo. Around no college. You get like there's that thing.
And
that's
and
it.
it's
The
like
next
my
thing
dad
is
understood
he knows
transportation.
exactly.
Provides.
Yeah.
But the men of these days,
They say
let's go
they're
for
saying,
opinion.
you're asking for transport money, but I'm not supposed to even ask. You're supposed to think about it.
thank you.
I grew up not knowing how to ask a guy for anything.
Exactly.
Because in my head, I'm
People are
like,
supposed to give.
you're supposed to know.
You know these
You will never
things.
find me asking. If you don't give, I just carry myself to the next one.
Anyway,
The other day I saw a little meme. But every time you ask a guy money and he's like, man, I don't have at this point. You're like, it's okay, Kane. Second guy is Kane.
Yeah, the second guy is Kanei.
Kane, because you have to move on. So, like I said, for me, from my perspective, I saw both sides. The downside, I didn't like it. So you find in my life, if there is something I strive for a career. I have to have a life outside marriage.
That is the gap it formed.
It formed in my life
In your
because
life.
I saw my mom was like,
You can't be there.
you can't
don't
be
have
there and you
direction.
don't have, you get. Okay, because for me, it ate onto me. It hit me hard because when my dad died, I saw a responsibility I did not really see coming and that I didn't need. And I wouldn't want to impose that on a child. So I promised myself all partners have to,
have their
thing going. So that when one is off,
The other one can manage to handle.
exactly.
And the Kathys of this world. Kathy, just help us. How did that really? What was the downside and upside?
I'll start with the downside. Having to see my parents separate
No, that must hurt.
after so many struggles, so many years of, you have tolerated certain things. You've decided to, I'll say for my mom, having to see her give up on certain things
For
just
this to
for her
work.
family, for this to work, having to tolerate a lot of things that I don't think I can tolerate.
Maybe now it explains why you said even when she did all that, you can't do it because you saw the result.
Anything small, I don't stay. You will stay, but eventually you will get to a point where you're like, this is too much. But at least there was nothing like physical abuse.
Thank God.
That is the one thing that I think I appreciate. So, but the love, the care that he wouldn't just throw it at the table, but it was always there.
You saw it.
Yeah.
You felt
So-
it.
And even as I was growing up, then having my brothers, my sisters, like there's so much love. And if I'm not having that in my marriage, I am not going.
All right. I really, really want to thank us for joining us on this show today. And for me, my parting words are most of the opinions we have about marriage or other things in life are basically because of how we were raised. So you can examine yourself from where it came from. If there is healing to be done, please go all the way. And if there are things you need to throw out of the deck, do that. But don't just carry on an opinion that is not informed.